you. All right, so let's get started with the biggest story that is out there right now. Derek Chauvin was found guilty today, and I just kind of want to get um, a reaction from the panel tonight. Let's just play a clip from that because I always come with receipts.
Unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony. Find the defendant guilty. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2. Third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act. Find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to in the above entitled matter as to count 3. Second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk. Find the defendant guilty.
So that's what we saw just hours ago. And I just kind of want to get a reaction from Ivan and Dr. Palin. Dr. Palin, I'm going to start with you first because you're a very avid proponent of criminal justice reform, including the justice system with prosecutors and judges. How do you feel about this verdict?
So I think that, of course, 100%. I mean, I just could not even imagine another result. But the most important thing about this that I feel like is getting kind of completely sideswiped is the fact that we are here today with cops like Chauvin because of judges and prosecutors. And they are seeming like through Chauvin's trial to be the heroes. They're not the heroes. They are the culprits of this boiling point. That now these cops have been emboldened through decades of civil rights actions that were non-deadly, that were dismissed. So, year after year, we pulled the 11th Circuit Court of Appeal in Atlanta. There were 2,311 civil rights cases that were non-violent, that were dismissed right at the outset, not allowing anyone to seek redress for having been falsely arrested, having been kicked in the stomach, having been punched in the face. Yeah, they survived, but they were brutalized by police. And not to mention the countless other lawsuits where people were falsely convicted because cops lied and they fabricated evidence, they planted evidence, and still, the judges gave them a pass. I think that in all of this, including CNN or whoever, the liberal media, everybody is so honed in to the issue that it's a cop problem. It is so wrong. It's not a cop problem. It's a judge, prosecutor problem.
Okay, I can see that, and I can agree with that. Let me go to Ivan. Ivan, how do you feel about this verdict? Do you think there's going to be more of a conversation now on police reform, or how are you just feeling in general?
Well, I mean, it kind of goes to the point, yes, it had to come back guilty. Now, to that extent, if you check Facebook, you see a lot of people have opinions that say that the trial was rigged, it was already prejudged, the people feared for their lives, they had to say this, they had to say that. We know there's a lot of abuse that goes on out there. The issue I have is that it's not just that cop, but the cops that stand around and let it happen and don't do anything with it or about it to stop it. So the other 3 officers that were involved were just as guilty as if they had their knee on his back because they didn't stop him. In the same respect, there's people saying, oh, he was doing his job. Part of his job is to resuscitate life if somebody's like half dead. And if you're the one that caused the half death in this case, you should have done something to help him out, as well as allow the ambulance people, EMTs, to do what they do. So you can't sit there and say, oh, well, my knee in his neck or my knee on his body didn't cause the issue. It did. And the one thing I liked about the prosecution that said, because the whole thing, like carbon monoxide was brought up, that's a bunch of BS, okay? We know exactly what happened and why it happened. It was filmed for the whole world to see it. But when the prosecution said, he didn't die. He actually he didn't die from an enlarged heart. He died because Chauvin had a small one.
Right.
I think that was just as powerful as if the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. And that's going to be around for time. And that's what the situation is. So that's my 2 cents of guilty. Definitely. Were the jurors in fear of their life to a degree if they had gone the wrong way? I know if I was a juror, but you can't really say that played a part in their decision. They did what they did. It came out guilty. And for some of these people who are in disbelief that he's guilty, they need to wake up. It was filmed. The whole world saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that as well. You're coming in. We were talking earlier. We're having some technical difficulties with you coming. You were kind of breaking up, but we heard everything that you said, and I agree with everything everyone said on the panel tonight. Especially one, I'm glad. Listen, I was having a discussion with someone the other day about this, and they were saying, well, he could breathe, he could talk, whatever, whatnot. And then I posed the question. This is to all those people out there in social media. How did he die? And the answer was lack of oxygen. And I'm like, oh, okay. So come on. It's like, what caused that? We have to be honest.
Yeah.
And I agree with Sunny Hostin on The View. She was saying, as a prosecutor, with this evidence, like I said, yeah, we all saw it. You can believe your eyes. You can believe what the entire world saw. I mean, there's this psychological thing that they used as well. I wanted to mention, I was trying to mention in the conversation I was having this weekend, that they use this tactic, the Genovese syndrome, where something is happening to someone and no one makes a move to stop it. And we all saw there was like at least 20 to 40 people around this, and no one stopped it and especially in this case, it was out of fear of retaliation from the police. They were, I would be afraid to jump in, even though I know as a human being that life is being lost right now. I'm happy that all of these verdicts came back guilty, and hopefully the sentencing when that happens is adequate to the crime, because it's not about I also heard something from the case was someone said it's not about who he was, it's about what he did, and we can't just argue this like 10 minutes on someone's knee. It's ridiculous. Anyone else want to say anything before we move on from this to the next topic?
So just one little thing. So what happens is, what we don't recognize is the system has to be dismantled, because when the judges and the prosecutors have spent decades emboldening the cops to make them feel like they're never going to be held accountable, they're never going to be, they're going to be invincible. You're not going to change that cop culture by training, by reform, by anything. You have to completely dismantle the system and go after the other culpable parties. And we need to put judges on trial. We need to put prosecutors on trial. We need to go back and find on all wrongful convictions that we hear every year. There's an exoneration registry in the nation now, and there's over 2,000 each year now. They're keeping track, and they're not even covering all the wrongful conviction. But we need to go back and find out all the judges and prosecutors in those cases and put those people on trial.
I agree with that, because you're absolutely correct. Sorry, go ahead, baby.
Oh, no, I'm just saying it sounds good, but I want to say that I want to point out is, yes, he was found 45 years, 12 and a half minimum, but they can actually extend it to the whole 45 or 47, 49. Essentially, he'd be in jail for the rest of his life. My only comment at this point is he's not going to survive unless he's put in protective custody or some special place, which will be at our expense as a taxpayers.
Yes, absolutely. My father was telling me. Yes, absolutely. My father and I was having a conversation about that as well, because, people are very angry by what they saw, because it wasn't just his act, but that video, we all saw it, the entire world. I could have played something from that, but I wasn't going to. That video was just so powerful. It changed a lot of people, I've never seen anyone on television. So, I mean, anything else?